4, 3, 2, 1. I'm John Miglosh for the WDMA and the International Society for Strategic Marketing. We're going to have a little more fun today. There's been too much pressure. As you can tell, I've been messing these things up something fierce. So we'll start off with my good friend Tom Fishburne. My wife was paging through the... Tom sent me a collection of his cartoons, which I thought was very nice of him, because I reviewed his book when it came out on Amazon. And just a heck of a nice guy. Way more famous than me. But I mention his stuff every now and then just for fun. Okay, so this year will be all about AI. How about that? Yes, and podcasts, and nano-influencers, and social commerce, and blockchain. These are all, I could use this as a topic list for marketers, right? They're all about these things. Search, voice and search, and live video. Nobody does live video. Somebody say something out there in the audience. Here, this is live. I remember one time I was in an elevator with my wife, and we were, I think, in New Orleans, and we were talking about eating oysters, and she said, how can you eat those things raw? And I looked at her and I said, raw? They're live. This is live. Right now it's live for anybody who's listening in the world. And probably only a handful are, but that's okay. We get a lot more views later in the day. Okay, live video. Shouldn't we talk about strategy? Anyway, this will also be the year of VR. What's so great about that cartoon is, that they pause for 1 second. No one wants to. And down in the comments on LinkedIn where Tom posted, there was a couple of comments, that people are afraid of missing out. Well, how about missing out on profits? That's what our series is about. Because this field is largely untracked wilderness. And I am not saying that you can't make hay to some extent with spurious correlations. And we're going to talk about that in a second. Okay, also big news. Midland Paper. This is a really interesting one. Acquires consulting and strategy firm Cohere One. John Lenzer's a friend of mine. I'm continually impressed with his ability to peddle his businesses. Because he sold a bunch before, and then it seemed to get all messed up, and then everybody sold everybody, and only little pieces were left, and it got all, as far as I could tell, all destroyed. I had a few people who worked there, and then all of a sudden he put it back together again and created Cohere One. Now he sold that again. Now they're still putting it together, but what if somebody buys Midland Paper, which is actually what happened. The little fish got eaten by the middle fish, got eaten by the big fish, and then got eaten by a giant fish, and then they just didn't care anymore about direct marketing and all that. So good luck to John. You won't see this. I did look for it in the Asian digital marketing news, but they didn't cover it. Okay, so now let's talk a little bit more about what is predictive analytics. What is predictive analytics? Okay, and it's an advanced form of analytics. This is just from a few days ago. There's like articles coming out all over the place. This was from 1/3/19, right? Okay. Multiple variables are combined into a predictive model capable of assessing future probabilities with an acceptable level of reliability. I should put that in the readability analyzer, which I keep handy. Okay, so it's a system for analyzing lots of variables. And yesterday, if you remember where we left off, we said that you want lots of variables because variables give you perspective. And so tomorrow, probably, I'll talk about the werewolf variable and how that, for example, is something that few people create or calculate, but can give you insight into your customers. And what I found is that the creative variables usually outperform the manufactured machine variables. Just saying. The machine doesn't understand context, and we're going to actually show you the machine processing. I'll try to get that set up for tomorrow. You'll see what it looks like, and you'll see why pure machine learning, pure machine modeling is a dangerous thing. And everybody admits it who's any good, okay? But because it has a high level of expertise in statistical methods, and oh, by the way, I shouldn't admit this online here, but I haven't actually taken much for statistics courses. Now, I do have a master's in epistemology and philosophy of science, which I think is better. And I've got 30 years writing offers and seeing what sells in the mail. That might be worthwhile. Anyway, so it's typically the domain of data scientists. That is problem number one. I talked with a professor at UCLA that was a friend of a friend. And because one of my clients had accused me of violating every principle of statistical whatever it was, and I was kind of hurt by that. Because I thought I was doing pretty well, and it turned out I was breaking all the laws of statistics. Now, one of the professors at the University of Wisconsin, who had also worked for EDS for a lot of years, said that we broke every rule of database design too. I said, George, we're open to suggestions. He said, no, you beat the crap out of everything else that we've ever done. So sometimes breaking the rules is okay, sometimes coming from another perspective. But this guy at UCLA, this professor, said, we teach statistics and we suck all the creativity out of it. So, I mean, just imagine if you wanted like a data scientist to cook you dinner, or to paint you a picture, or to play the piano. You know, there's a lot of things that data scientists can do, but almost all of the ones I've met didn't have a lot of integration with life, right? And context is so important to this process that if you aren't widely read, if you don't have a wide life experience, it's very difficult to understand what makes sense and what doesn't make sense. We'll get on to that as we go. Okay? Some enterprises are filling the data scientist position by hiring people who have academic backgrounds in physics and other hard science. That's worse. That's absolutely the wrong direction. Okay, so whoever wrote this article, what is predictive? I don't know. We won't cite the author. Once predictive modeling produces actionable results, the analytics team can share them with business executives, usually with dashboards and reports that present the information and highlight future business opportunities, which may be totally spurious and wrong. Because the data scientists and the physicists, they don't know what it takes to sell a widget, right? And so then it's all left to the business executives who hopefully have 30 years of experience in saying no to crazy, okay? Because, you know, I talked to William a little bit on LinkedIn. William was a couple of articles back, and he said, and I said, tell me about deployment. And it's like, deployment is when the model hits the real world, and oh, there can be some big problems. Yeah, like Google offering me the highlights of my favorite team getting shellacked, which they do, well, as often as my favorite team gets shellacked, right? Stop it. If Google's listening, stop doing that. When they lose, when the favorite team loses, don't send the highlights. Don't offer them. It makes me mad. And there's 100 other examples, but that one I'm just going to keep on going. One of these days, Google's going to stop doing it, and I'm going to be so pleased. Okay, so here's Dr. Eric, and he is just great. He's just great. Really crazy, makes it understandable. And he had some great examples. I'll try to put the link in my YouTube channel, but you can also go to Dr. Data. He has all this stuff. Welcome to the Dr. Data Show. The Dr. Data Show. Anyway, write me if you can't find it. I'll try to track it down. Okay. So he says that the process we've gone through is to argue that we can automate the scientific discovery. Now, all we can automate is the correlations. We can spot correlations and observe faster than we ever did. For example, vegetarians might not cancel flights or miss flights as often. Probably the computer will spot that, and then somebody will say, how could that be? And he makes the point, rightly so. You don't know how it could be. There's no necessary connection. Although, they may already drive a Prius, and so they're less likely to be at the gas station filling up, and they make their flight. I don't know. But that's why context matters, right? But it doesn't matter. And Eric makes this point, and I really like it. Eric says, if we're trying to figure out how much to overbook a flight, and we know that it's a vegan convention full of everybody wants a vegetarian meal, we better not overbook that flight. Now that is application. That's one of the best, clearest examples where it actually could work, even though you have no idea why it works. I'm okay with that. But generally in ROI, you want to know why to roll it out, to spend millions on it. I'm John Miglash, WDMA.